What the fuck is that? He's dancing. And holy shit. I broke the Endless Tower and filled it with enemies you were never supposed to fight. Enemies that were mysteriously cut from the final game, but still lingering unseen in the game's files. Lurking in the shadows, biding their time, sharpening their pointy feet. Everything from half-finished mannequins to fully realized creatures that honestly look like Sandfall could have shipped. Here's how it works. I'm using a mod called Expedition 33 Randomizer to swap out the Neverons you know and love for all the ones that didn't make the final cut. We'll check out their designs, how they fight, and try to figure out why they didn't make it into the final game. This is finally their moment. And oh my, it's a whole squad of little Gestrals. Be strong guys and beat them. Yeah, we'll see about that, little buddy. Some of their animations clearly weren't finished, like this hammer-wielding guy, he just kind of floats toward you like a ghost. Oh, what is this, Street Fighter now? And over here, look at this Cubone looking fella. He does a super jump. I know where this is going. Seeing some of that Final Fantasy influence. I see you, Sandfall. AS Gestral Bully is about to... He's dancing. And somehow that makes everyone more powerful, including me. Sandfall, why didn't you include this guy? I'm just going to take that Game of the Year trophy and give it to a game that actually deserves it. Perfect. That AS prefix in the names probably stands for Ancient Sanctuary, and it makes me wonder, where in that zone were we supposed to run into these guys? I can't even hit this Dragoon when he's airborne, and maybe that's why they scrapped him. They just didn't want to figure out how to make that work. Alright, this is fun, but enough of this circus. Next up, we have two Renoir clones that I paired with Painted Renoir, just because they felt like they belonged together. Kind of like the summons he uses in that old Lumiere boss fight that are there to heal him. And it looks like they have a move that's supposed to do something similar, but nothing actually happens. It looks like it may be referencing something that's not in the game anymore, maybe Renoir's name changed at some point. I tried pairing them with different Renoir fights and even the Paintress, but I kept getting that same error. Still, their attacks are pretty cool. One of them has Seren pop up behind you, distracting you while the clone throws some purple shit at you. And another has the masks from Visage shake angrily at you. Though those last couple of hits from the mask didn't register at all, so I guess they just never finished it. Speaking of masks, you can actually fight the masks of anger, sorrow, and joy. I thought that was normal until I remembered in Visage, we only fight their sort of Neveron champions, like the Seething Bushi, the Seething guy, not the masks themselves, so yeah, Sandfall definitely had other plans at some point. And holy crap, they're gigantic. I tried fighting all three at once, and it didn't go well. They just clipped right through each other, and it was kind of a mess. Alright, I think this next one's gonna be pretty good. Work in progress, placeholder battle, placeholder fight, please skip this battle. Yeah, and that's just the default Unreal Engine mannequin. The file was named something like Verso Prologue, so it feels like a whole scene got left on the cutting room floor here. I remember seeing that there were some cut voice lines for Julie that sounded like they belong in Mael's nightmare scene with Verso, after he's just betrayed Julie and the other expeditioners. So, my theory is that this scene was originally supposed to be the prologue of the game, perhaps with the player controlling Julie and being killed by Verso, but somewhere Sandfall's plans changed. Now we've got some multicolored Potiers, and this is super common with these cut Neveron models. There's a bunch of variants that are just a whole bunch of different colors, and I can't tell if these are actual cut content or maybe just leftovers from when the devs were messing around with different color palettes. The Potier ones drop their pots on you, just like the Chapelier with its dumb hat, instead of shooting lasers like their counterparts that did make the final cut. And that's a balloon. No, really, it's the exact same model as the hot air balloons from the Reacher, just shrunk down the punching bag size. If you remember, we actually see this thing in Act 1 during a Lumiere tutorial. But this version has camp in the name, so maybe Sandfall wanted us to do some target practice at camp, kind of like the training dummy you see at the Hotel Karat in Lies of P, which, by the way, fantastic game if you haven't played it yet, go check it out. It's got a really similar Belle Epoque setting vibe. And here's a whole squad of multicolored saplings, some with totally different and much more annoying attacks than the ones in the final game. And these Galts have no new moves, but look at them, they're all pretty and lined up like a pastel parade. So many Lanceliers. This one literally skips his turn because he can, Alright, then watch me absolutely nail the dodges on this guy's attack. Why am I still so bad at this game? It's been like 10 videos. Whoa, that's a big boy. Alright, this one was labeled Sap Nevron Boss, and I was hoping for something epic, like maybe the Lady of Sap from Falling Leaves, but instead we just get a giant Unreal Engine mannequin. Kinda boring, but still nice to know that they had more planned for Falling Leaves, since that zone felt strangely incomplete. What the fuck is that? Oh, it's got eyebrows, so you know it's angry. The health bar even looks like a mouth. It's got no pointy feet, so I guess not a Nevron? Oh, and it's got a tiny Unreal mannequin inside it. Weird. Yeah, this is clearly just a dev test or an inside joke. Not real cut content, of course, but still, kinda weird. I hate it. Now this is interesting. Chroma versions of Lune and Sciel. So there's actually some stuff that points to a cut location in the game's files called the Chroma Zone. So maybe these doppelgangers were meant to show up there. They're kind of weak though, which makes me think that if this were true, then the Chroma Zone probably wasn't meant for Act 3. It was kind of wild to get hit with Luna's Mayhem and Thunderfall from the other side of the screen. Her Chroma version seems a little more finished than Ciel's, since when Sciel attacks it just says her name up there like she's a Pokemon. And then we have Chroma Verso, Mael, and Monoko. Verso's is the most polished, while Mael's hair just kind of floats above her head like a weird glitch, and Monoko... yeah, let's not talk about Monoko. Check out Chroma Verso. He's using a gun instead of a dagger, and his outfit looks different. Almost like Gustav's, or maybe like his statue in Lumiere. Yeah, that's Verso right there. If you were as surprised as I was, maybe check out my video where I explore off-screen secrets, the kind of stuff you just can't normally see without mods. Verso's got a couple of attacks that mimic the real Verso's, and Mael's attack confirms that she's a CSGO player. Hey, more Lanceliers. So one zaps you with its laser lance. Another summons clones that attack you before surprising the hell out of you with an attack of its own. Kinda reminiscent of Dualliste's Stormblood attack. Speaking of Dualiste, we've got a few variants here. The Chromatic one's beefier with more HP and stronger attacks. The normal one's just here for reference. And these two on the sides, well, they only have 2 arms instead of 4. They have broken helmets, there's no second phase to the fight with them, and they have really low HP. Oh, and they have single hit attacks instead of those flashy combos. These feel like they could have been early prototypes, but it's sort of hard to tell. Next up is the Chromatic Gargant. It's massive. I had to fight it from inside its own body. Other than that, it has the same attacks and same behavior. Kind of underwhelming for something that big. Then we get more Cultists. These are fully fleshed out, and it starts to make me think that there was a whole cult subplot that got axed. Remember that weird shrine to the Paintress in Stonewave Cliffs? And how we hear rumors about people worshipping her? Unlike regular Neverons, these cultists don't have those pointy feet. So here's a fun theory. What if they were actually people from the original Lumiere before the fracture who worshipped the Paintress? And then maybe they got twisted into Neverons by Clea as punishment. I don't know, just a thought. You can tell me how wrong I am in the comments. This mage cultist is absolutely covered in that same, off-white calcification that all the cultists have. It swings a stone sword that looks like it's carved straight from the monolith, with veins of gold running through the black stone, and it even has this tiny little Paintress statue on its head. Typical of its name, it casts spells at you and does things like shield itself and its allies. Then over here we have what's called a Fear Light, and holy shit. His attacks are frantic, hard to parry. Get good, scrub. And they hit like a truck. Manacles and chains give it a kind of eeriness that takes me right back to thinking about that Cultist subplot. Maybe Lumerians who were imprisoned by the Cultists for refusing to worship the Paintress? Dark stuff. And maybe wrong stuff, but it's fun to think about. The Chromatic Potier gets a serious visual upgrade. It floats on this ornate disc and has even fancier pots gathered around it. When you kill it, the disc actually stays behind, which I don't think we've ever really seen with any other Neveron. Usually they just poof away. The Chromatic Mage Cultist is just beefier than the normal one. Nothing new, moving on. The Chromatic Peleron gets some visual upgrades with a fancier hat, a green blade, and some extra glow, but it's still rocking its traditional jorts. And then a T-posing Lumiere Citizen with 0 attacks, just kinda stood there like a creep. Next are a Chromatic Sapling and Stalact. We'll skip that Renoir clone because we already covered him. This sapling looks like it was definitely meant for frozen hearts. It's got this fiery core and icy shell, kind of a cool look. And the Stalact is... it's got a big red clown nose and it glows yellow when hit by fire, not red. Why? Who knows? Clown logic. Here we have a red jar. It's, red. No special moves, no flair, it's red. And a Lumiere Citizen who has only 1 attack, and it's literally Luna's thermal transfer. Same animation, same VFX, and everything. For the last of the Cultists, we have the Dualsword and Dualsword Cultist Alpha. I think Alpha is actually how all chromatic enemies are labeled in the files, so this one just never got renamed like the others. No real difference besides size, but man, these guys are cool. Fully animated, slick designs, a great moveset. I really wish we'd seen them in Stonewave Clips. How about Cult of the Paintress for a DLC? Sandfall? Remember Limonsoul, the Gestral that lets you into the arena in the Gestral village? Well, this little guy's also named Limonsoul. Looks like they had him planned as a merchant, I guess. He smashes you with a massive backpack and has another attack where he dances around like a ballerina. Honestly, I love all the dancing Gestrals in this game, and I wish we got more of that. Then just one more Lancelier. This one's got Test Michel in the name, and who's probably a dev. I kind of love imagining Sandfall's team testing a dozen different versions of this guy and then going, let's just keep that one. Good work, Michel. And here's a black and gold Bourgeon, who we likely would have fought inside the monolith in the Flying Water section. I assume they didn't include it because it was replaced by the chromatic Bourgeon we find there, which is too bad because this is a really nice looking model. Overall, this is still one of my favorite Nevrons in the game, and this one's just really cool. Anyway, if you want to check out the mod for yourself, it's called Expedition 33 Randomizer, and you can find it on Nexus Mods. I'll leave a link in the description. They really did a great job with this one, so throw them an endorsement if you like it. And if you want to learn more about Nevrons, check out my video here on every standard Nevron in the game. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.